In less than a single second, the laws of physics are going to file a formal complaint against a man standing in the center of a gymnasium. But right now, the only thing filling the air is skepticism. Thick, heavy, suffocating skepticism. You are looking at a distance that shouldn't exist in a fight. It is too small, it is insignificant, it is the width of a thumb. To the human eye, to the trained experts sitting in the front row with their arms crossed, what is about to happen is an anatomical lie. You cannot generate force without distance. You cannot generate power without momentum. This is the first rule of combat, the first rule of mechanics, and frankly, the first rule of common sense. Yet, the man in the center has placed his fingertips lightly against a chest that feels like it was carved out of granite, and he isn't moving back. He isn't winding up. He is waiting. And if you blink, if you look away to check your watch or light a cigarette, you are going to miss the moment that changed martial arts forever. Welcome to Long Beach, California. It is August 2nd, 1964. To understand the weight of this silence, you have to understand the room. This isn't a modern sports arena with air conditioning and padded floors. The Long Beach Municipal Auditorium smells like stale tobacco smoke, nervous sweat, and tiger balm. It is hot, it is loud, and it is filled with the toughest men in America. These are karate practitioners who spend their days turning oak boards into splinters, using nothing but their foreheads. They value grit. They value visible, loud, screaming effort. They believe that power looks a certain way. It looks like a sledgehammer swinging from overhead. And then there is Bruce. At this moment, Bruce Lee is 23 years old. He isn't a movie star yet. To the traditionalists in the room, he is something much worse. He is a disruptor. He is a chatterbox. He weighs barely 140 pounds soaking wet. He moves with a fluidity that irritates the hard-style masters. They look at him and see a dancer, not a fighter. They see a young man who talks too much about being like water while they are busy breaking bricks. The tension in this room isn't just about a demonstration. It is a clash of ideologies. If Bruce fails here, he doesn't just lose face, he proves them right. He proves that his philosophy is nothing but parlor tricks and poetry. So, when Bruce asks for a volunteer, the room shifts. The air gets heavier. A man steps up. This isn't just any volunteer. This is a man who knows how to take a hit. Look at him. He's heavier than Bruce, broader in the shoulders and conditioned to absorb impact. He steps into the spotlight with a grin that tells you everything you need to know. He thinks this is a game. He thinks he is about to participate in a magic trick where the magician pushes him gently, and he is supposed to stumble backward to make the little guy look good. The volunteer plants his feet. He widens his stance into a classic horse-riding posture, knees bent, hips locked, center of gravity dropped low. In the world of physics, he has just turned himself into a building. He is rooting himself to the floor. He is telling Bruce without saying a word, "I am not moving." The crowd chuckles. You can hear it ripple through the auditorium. It's a low, mocking sound. They see the setup. Bruce steps in. He steps in deep. He places his right foot forward, sliding it between the volunteer's feet. He extends his right arm until his fingers are touching the man's shirt. Then he stops. This is the moment that confused everyone. Bruce doesn't pull his hand back, he leaves it there. His fingers are already touching the target. There is zero runway. In a street fight, this is suicide. In a boxing ring, this is a clinch. In this auditorium, it looks like a joke. The unspoken bet on the floor is absolute. If Bruce draws his hand back even 2 inches to gain momentum, he is a fraud. If the big guy doesn't move, Bruce is a laughingstock. Watch the volunteer's face. He is still grinning. He is bracing for a push. He is expecting a shove. He is calculating the physics in his head, and the math tells him he is safe. Force equals mass times acceleration. Bruce has no mass compared to him. Bruce has no distance to accelerate. Therefore, the equation equals 0. But Bruce isn't using the math they know. While the crowd focuses on the hand, they are missing the engine. They aren't looking at Bruce's heels. They aren't looking at the rotation of his hip. They are staring at the fist, thinking the power comes from the arm. This is the mistake that gets people hurt. Bruce is calm. He doesn't look angry. He looks like a surgeon preparing for an incision. He adjusts his stance by a fraction of an inch. He is aligning a kinetic chain that starts in the floor and ends in his knuckles. a chain that operates on a timeline so short the human brain struggles to register it. The murmurs grow louder. Someone in the back coughs. A chair scrapes against the floor. The volunteer locks his core, ready to embarrass the little man. Then the world freezes. There is no wind-up. There is no telegraph. There is only a sudden, violent crack that sounds like a whip breaking the sound barrier inside a closed room. It happens faster than a blink. One moment, the volunteer is a rooted statue, smiling and immovable. In the very next frame of reality, his feet have left the ground. Not stumbled, left the ground. He is airborne. The force doesn't just push him, it concusses through his entire structure. His head snaps back. His smile vanishes into a mask of pure shock. He flies backward, crashing into a chair 5 meters away, with enough violence to slide the chair across the stage, nearly taking out a bystander who scrambles to get out of the way. Total silence falls over the Long Beach Municipal Auditorium. The laughter dies instantly. It doesn't fade away. It is severed. The black belts in the front row uncross their arms. The grin is wiped off the volunteer's face, replaced by the kind of disorientation you see in car crash survivors. He sits there, slumped in the chair that caught him, trying to understand how a truck just hit him when there was no truck in the room. But here is the detail that most people miss. Here is the moment that separates a fighter from a master. Bruce doesn't celebrate. He doesn't scream. He doesn't flex for the cameras or point a finger at the skeptics who were laughing 3 seconds ago. He doesn't use this moment to humiliate the man who doubted him. Instead, Bruce drops his hands. He steps forward immediately, his face shifting from intense focus to genuine concern. He reaches out a hand to the man he just launched across the stage. He checks on him. In the middle of his greatest triumph, his first instinct is the well-being of the human prop he just used to rewrite the laws of physics. The audience is stunned. They are trying to process 2 impossible things at once. First, they just watched a man generate the force of a car crash from a distance of 0 inches. And second, they are watching a man who possesses that kind of lethal power treat his opponent with the grace of a brother. But as the shock wears off, the questions begin to rise like smoke. How does a 140-pound human being generate that much torque without moving his feet? And more importantly, why does this single violent second matter more than all the trophies handed out that day? Because what Bruce just demonstrated wasn't a punch, it was a warning. He just showed everyone in that room that everything they thought they knew about power was wrong. And if they were wrong about the punch, what else were they wrong about? Decades later, biomechanics experts still study that grainy footage frame by frame, trying to deconstruct the miracle. They slow it down, looking for the cheat code, but all they find is perfect, terrifying coordination. What the crowd at Long Beach didn't realize they were seeing was a complete rejection of the tough guy myth. In 1964, power was supposed to be heavy. It was supposed to look like a weightlifter struggling under a bar. It was supposed to be loud, sweaty, and full of grimacing effort. If you weren't suffering, you weren't working. If you weren't winding up like a baseball pitcher, you weren't hitting hard. Bruce Lee stripped all of that away. He realized that winding up is just a telegraph. It's a letter you send to your opponent saying, "Dear sir, I'm about to strike you, please prepare accordingly." It is wasted time, it is wasted motion. It is emotional insecurity masquerading as strength. When he fired that punch, he didn't use muscle isolation. He used a kinetic spark. It starts in the toes, rips through the knees, torques the hip, uncoils the spine, and finally, only in the last millisecond, snaps the wrist. It is a whip, not a club. A club bruises. A whip breaks the sound barrier. The volunteer wasn't pushed by a 140-pound man. He was hit by the entire earth, channeled through a conduit the size of a fist. But look past the physics. Look at the psychology of the room after the man crashes into the chair. The skepticism has evaporated, but something else has taken its place. Fear. You can see it in the eyes of the masters in the front row. They are terrified. Not because Bruce is violent, but because he just made their entire world view obsolete. If you can generate that kind of power without a stance, without a scream, and without a wind-up, then all the years they spent breaking boards and hardening their knuckles might have been a detour. Bruce didn't just hit a man. He broke the dogma of an entire generation. Yet this is where the story truly pivots. This is where the one-inch punch stops being a weapon and starts being a lesson. Remember the volunteer? He is sitting in that chair, shaken, his world spinning. In any other fight, in any other arena, the victor would be prowling the stage. He would be soaking up the applause, asserting his dominance, perhaps offering a fake, condescending pat on the back. It's the standard currency of the ego. I am big, you are small. Bruce rejects this too. He remains right next to the man. He speaks to him quietly. There is no arrogance in his posture, only a calm, clinical attentiveness. He is explaining what happened. He is turning a public execution into a private tutorial. He is showing the man that he wasn't defeated by magic, but by science. By treating his opponent with dignity, Bruce Lee transforms the fear in the room into respect. He shows them that true mastery isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about how much control you have over the destruction you are capable of unleashing. This specific moment in 1964 is the bridge. It is the moment Bruce Lee stops being just a martial artist and starts becoming a philosopher in motion. He proved that you don't need runway to be effective. You don't need to be the biggest object in the room to move the room. You just need total, absolute efficiency. So why does this grainy black and white clip still haunt us? Why do we keep watching a man in a black suit hit a man in a white t-shirt over and over again? Because it forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about our own battles. We live in a world that is obsessed with the wind-up. We love the noise of effort. We mistake busyness for business. We think that if we are loud, if we post about our grind, if we show everyone how hard we are working, then we are powerful. We think we need a long runway to make an impact. We think we need the perfect conditions, the perfect degree, the perfect amount of money before we can strike. Bruce Lee's fist argues otherwise. He teaches us that the distance between you and your impact is an illusion. You don't need more room, you don't need more time. You need to align what you already have. You need to remove the slack from your own system. Think about the obstacles standing in front of you right now, the immovable objects in your career, your relationships, your own habits. How are you approaching them? Are you winding up? Are you wasting energy signaling your intentions, making noise, trying to look the part? Are you stepping back to gain momentum, giving your fear time to settle in? Or are you willing to close the distance? Are you willing to stand right in front of the problem, with zero runway, and generate power from a place of stillness? Can you be efficient enough to make an impact without the drama? And most importantly, when you finally break through, when you finally knock that obstacle across the room and everyone stops laughing, what do you do next? Do you stand over the wreckage and gloat? Do you use your victory to humiliate the people who doubted you? Or do you step forward, extend a hand, and use your power to lift the room up? The one-inch punch is not a trick. It is a mirror. It shows us that the greatest distance in the world isn't 5 meters across a stage. It's the distance between your ego and your true potential. Bruce Lee crossed it in less than a second. The question is, how long will it take you?